I'm Robert Courts and I am the Maritime Minister.
So how is the DfT actually working with the maritime industry to source the best solutions? What examples can you give us?
So there's a number of different ways in which we're doing this. And the first thing I'd like to just draw everyone's attention to is the Clean Maritime Plan from back in 2019. This is a really groundbreaking piece of work. And the reason why it's so important is that we sat down with the industry and went through with Maritime 2050, which is a wider piece of strategy work, very much working in partnership with industry. To give a good example of something that we are doing in terms of actually making things happen, I'd like to just tell everyone about the £20 million Clean Maritime Demonstration Competition. This is a research and development plan which will enable money for people to put into development, put into research, to really start bringing along the technology that we're going to be using for ships and for ports alike now.
Though I'd say £20 million is, to excuse the pun, a drop in the ocean, really. I mean, you've got so much that needs to be done. You're looking at the possibility of having to change the propulsion methods of all ships, all vessels that are so important, as you've already pointed out, to transporting 90% of the goods that come into and out of the UK. £20 million doesn't really go very far, does it?
So, look, there's a couple of things here. Firstly, you're right to draw attention to the scale of the challenge because it is significant. It's not just ships themselves, there's also the shoreside things, there's port infrastructure as well. And that's where that wider transport decarbonisation plan comes in, because that's when we start looking at things like linking ports to the wider transport structure. So there's that as well. The £20 million Clean Maritime Demonstration Competition is that initial seed corn funding, if you will, think of it that way. It's that R&D funding that really starts kicking off the technology.
You mentioned this requirement to have the port infrastructure working as well. This requires interaction with other governments too, doesn't it? What are you doing there?
We have a leading role in the IMO, as we always have. We will continue to work with not just the IMO, but also international partners through the medium of things like the G7, and also critically, of course, COP26, which will be held in the UK later this year, jointly with Italy. And we'll be able to explore what we can do internationally as well as domestically at that time.
But are you having conversations with other governments? There will be nothing worse than the UK forging ahead with having great portside facilities for vessels to come in and use alternative fuels, for them only to turn up at other major ports where they have to load and unload to discover there is no alternative to the fuel that they've taken on board when they've been in the UK, surely.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you have to have the ability for bunkering at both ends. You can't clearly only have it at one point for the reasons that you give. So all of those conversations, we are constantly in contact with international partners about a whole range of issues. And this is, of course, just one of them. But it's very much key to stress that at the moment what we're doing is looking at what technology it's likely to be needed. That's what the Clean Maritime Demonstration Competition does. So we need to understand which are going to be the technologies that we will really need, which will be the ones that will be of the most benefit to everybody, because then we can start putting that global framework in place.
Robert Courts, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.